And and I'm like, hello everybody, welcome back to the video. Today is day 101 of the plan, and so I just finished watching a explanation video of Ezra through Nehemiah, and so apparently Ezra and Nehemiah used to be like one book, and now it's two books, so they really go together. And so yeah, um, yesterday we like finished off talking about Ezra, like all the people who are like entering in ways they weren't supposed to, and like all that stuff. But then hell, then like they made them all divorce people, but never like truly says that God had told Ezra to do that. It was more like the leaders were pushing him to. That's how I explained it. And so now in Nehemiah, I'm starting out from chapter 1. I'll be reading chapters 1 through 4. So let's get started. So see, oh yeah, I really remember this chapter. Okay, chapter 1. The words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah. News from Jerusalem. During the month of 11, 20th year, when I was at the fortress of Susa, and then one of my brothers arrived with me from Judah, and I questioned them about Jerusalem and Jewish remnant that had survived from the exile. He said to me, the remnant in the province who survived the exile are in great trouble and disgrace. Jerusalem's walls have been broken down and its gates have been burned. Nehemiah's prayer. When I heard these words, I sat down and wept. I mourned for a number of days, fasting and praying for God of the heavens. And I said, Lord, the God of the heavens, the great and all-inspiring God, who keeps his gracious covenant with those who love him and obeys commands. Let your eyes be open and your ears attentive to hear your servant's prayer and how I pray to you day and night for your servants the Israelites. I confess the sins we have committed against you. Both I and my fathers have sinned. We accepted the commands, statutes, and ordinances you gave your servant Moses. Please remember what you commanded your servant Moses. If you are unfaithful, I'll scatter you among your peoples. If you return to me and carefully observe my commands, and though your exiles are banished from to the furthest horizon, I'll I will gather them from there, and I'll bring them to the place where I chose to have my name dwell. There are your servants and your people. You redeem them by your great power and your strong hand. Please, Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of servants, that of your servants who delight to revere your name. Give your servant access today and grant him compassion in the presence of the man. At the time I was the king's cupbearer. I got spit out my gum. So that is all for chapter 1. So now for chapter 2. Nehemiah sent to Jerusalem. During the month of Nisan in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, when the wine was set before him, I took the wine and gave it to the king, and I had never been sad in his presence. So the king said to me, "Why are you sad? When you aren't sick? This is nothing but sadness of heart." I was overwhelmed with fear and replied to the king, "May the king live forever. Why should I not be sad when the king or why should I not be sad when the city where my ancestors were buried lies in ruin and the gates have been destroyed by fire?" Then the king asked me, "What is your request?" So I prayed to God of the heavens and answered the king, "If it pleases the king and your servant to have found favor with you, send me to Judah and the city where my ancestors are buried, so I may rebuild it." The king with the queen seated beside him asked, "How long will your journey take and when we return?" So I gave him a definite time. And it pleased the king to send me. I also said to the king, "If it pleases the king, let me have letters written to the governors of the region west of the Euphrates River, so they will grant me safe passage until I reach Judah. And let me have a letter written to Asaph, keeper of the king's forest, so that he'll give me timber to rebuild the gates of the temple's fortress, the city wall, and the home where I live." The king granted my request, for the gracious hand of God was on me. I went out to the governors of the region west of the Euphrates and gave the king's letters. The king also sent officers to infantry and cavalry with me, and sent the Hornite and Tobiah the Ammonite official heard that someone had come to pursue the prosperity of the Israelites and were greatly displeased, preparing to rebuild the walls. After I arrived in Jerusalem and had been there 3 days, I got up at night and took a few men with me. I didn't tell anyone that my God had laid on my heart to do for Jerusalem. The only animal I took was the one I was riding. I went out at night through the valley gate towards the serpent's wall and the dung gate. I inspected the walls of Jerusalem that had been broken down and its gates had been destroyed by fire. I went to the fountain gate of the king's pool, but my farther down, it became too narrow for my animal to go through. So I went up and I way of the valley and inspected the wall. Then heading back, I entered through the valley gate and returned. The fishes did not know where I had gone or what I was doing, for I had not yet choose nobles officials those who would be doing work. So I said to them, "You see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins since its gates have been burned. Come, let's rebuild Jerusalem's walls so it will no longer be a disgrace." Tell them how the gracious hand of my God had been on me and what the king had said to me. They said, "Let's start rebuilding," and their hands were strengthened to do this good work. When Simbalet the Huronite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab heard about this, they mocked and despised us and said, "What are you doing? Are you rebelling against the king?" I gave him this reply: "The God of the heavens is the one who grants us success. We, his servants, will start building, but you had no share, right, or historic claim in Jerusalem." Okay, we're halfway through now. Chapter 3, Rebuilding the Walls. The high priest Eliashib and his fellow priests began rebuilding the sheep gate. They dedicated and installed its doors. After building the wall, the Tower of 100 and Tower of Hanel, they dedicated it. The men Jericho built next to Eliashib and next to Sekur, son of Emery, built Fishgate. Sons of Anazah built the Fishgate. They built it with beams, installed its doors, bolts, and bars. Next to them, Meremoth, son of Uri, son of Hakaz, made repairs. Beside them, Meshullam, son of Berechiah, son of Mezebel, made repairs. Next to them, Zadok, son of Benah, made repairs. Beside them, the Tzedkites made repairs, but their nobles did not lift a finger to help their supervisors. The old gate, broad wall, and tower of the ovens. Joiada, son of Bezai, the Meshullam, son of Bezoiada, repaired the old gate. They built the beams, installed doors, bolts, and bars. Next to them, repairs were done by the Gibeonite, Jadina, the Maronite, and the men of Gibeon and Mizpah, who were under the authority of the governor of the region west of the Euphrates River. After him, Nizil, son of Harhea, the goldsmith, made repairs. Next to him, Hananiah, the perfumer, made repairs. They restored Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. Next to them, Rephaiah, son of Hur, ruler of the Hattish of Jerusalem, made repairs. After them, Jedaiah, son of Hariamath, made repairs across from the house. Next to him, Josh, son of Hashabeniah, made repairs. Malach, Chijah, son of Haram, and Hashub, son of Pahath Moab, made repairs to another section, as well as the towers of the ovens. Beside him, Shalom, son of Halahesh, ruler of half the district of Jerusalem, made repairs, he and his daughters. Valley Gate, Dung Gate, and Fountain Gate. Hanan and the inhabitants of Sanoah repaired the Valley Gate. They rebuilt it and installed its doors, bolts, bars, and repaired the 500 yards of the wall to the Dung Gate. Chijah, the son of Achab, ruler of the districts of Beth repaired the dung gate. He rebuilt it and installed the doors, bolts, and bars. Shalom, son of Kal Hazal Hesed, ruler of the district of Mizpah, repaired the fountain gate. He rebuilt it and roofed it. Then he installed its doors, bolts, and bars. He also made some repairs to the wall of the pool of Shiloh near the king's garden, as far as the stairs at the center from the city of David. After him, Neimiah, son of Azbek, ruler of the Had district of Besser, and repairs it to the points opposite the tombs of David, as far as the artificial pool and the house of the warriors. Next, the Levites made repairs in their Rehum, son of Beni. Beside him was Hashabiah, ruler of Hash district of Kala, made repairs for that his district. After him, their fellow Levites made repairs under Beni, son of Henadad, ruler of Hash district of Kaliah. And it also includes mine a little image of. If you're watching this, make sure you can look at it. I got too, or you can just see it right then. But anyways, next, Ezra's son Ezra, ruler of Mizpah, made repairs in this section opposite to sense the armory at Angel of the Angle. Yeah, the army at the Angle. The Angle Watergate and Tower on the Ophel. I'm pretty sure that's Angle because it's Angle, which I think's Angle because Angel would be Angel. I hope I'm saying this right. After him, Roch and Zabiah diligently repaired another section from the angle to the door of the house of the high priest Elisha. Beside him, Meremoth, son of Uriah, son of Hakaz, made repairs to another section of the house to the end of his house. After him, the priests from the surrounding areas made repairs. After Benjamin and Asha made repairs to the opposite of the house. Beside them, Syria, son of Manasseh, son of Ananias, made repairs beside his house. After him, Hanun, son of Henadad, made repairs to another section from the house of Azariah to the angle in the corner, and Palal, son of Uzziah, made repairs to the opposite of the angle and tower that juts out from the king's upper palace by the courtyard. The guard from him Pedaiah, son of Parash, and simple servants living in Fel made repairs in opposite water gates towards him in the east towers that juts out. His son Twickets made repairs to another section from a point opposite the great tower that juts as far as the wall of the Fel. Horse gate, inspection gate, and sheep gate. Each of the priests made repairs above the horse gate, each opposite of his own house. After them, Stock, son of Immer, made repairs opposite of his house, and beside him, Shemiah, son of Sennacher, guard of East Gate, made repairs next to him. Hananiah, son of Shelemiah, and Hanan, the sixth son of Salaph, made repairs to another section. After them, Meshullam, son of Barachia, made repairs to the opposite of his room. Next to him, Malachia, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs to the house of the simple servants and merchants of opposite inspection gate. As far as the upstairs room of the corners, goldsmiths merchants made repairs between the upstairs rooms of the corner and the sheep gate. Chapter 4, the final chapter. Progress in spite of opposition. When Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he became furious. He mocked the Jews before the colleagues and powerful men of Samaria and said, "What are these pathetic Jews doing? Can they restore it by themselves? Will they offer sacrifices so they even finish it? Can they bring these burnt stones back to life from the mountains of rubble?" And Zobah the Ammonite, who was beside him, said, "Indeed, even a fox climbed up with their building. He would break down the stone wall. Listen, our God, for we are despised, make their insults return on their own heads, and let them be taken as plunder to a land of captivity. Do not cover their guilt, and let their sin be right from your sight, because they have angered the builders." So we rebuilt the wall until the entire wall is joined together but to half its height, for the people had the will to keep working. When Sanballat, Tobiah, and the Arabs, Ammonites, and Ashtites heard that the repair of the wall of Jerusalem was progressing, and that the gaps were being closed, they became furious. So they all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and throw them in confusion. So we prayed to our God and stationed to guard it because of the day and night. In Judah, and O said, "The strength of the labor fails since there is so much trouble. We will never be able to rebuild the wall." And our enemies said they won't realize it until we are among them and can kill them and stop the work. Then the Jews who lived nearby arrived, and they said to us time and time again, "If we return, they will attack us." So I stationed people behind the lowest sections on the wall at the vulnerable areas. I stationed them my families with their swords, spears, and bows. After I made an inspection, I stood up and said to the nobles, officials, and the rest of the people, "Don't be afraid of them. Remember the great and all-inspiring Lord, and fight for your countrymen, your sons, your daughters, and your wives, and your homes." Sword and trowel. When our enemies heard that we knew their scheme and that God had frustrated it, every one of us returned from his own work on the wall. From that day on, half my men did the work while the other half held spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officials supported the people of Judah who were rebuilding the wall. The laborers who carried the loads working in one hand and held weapon in the other. Each of the builders had a sword stretched on his waist while he was building, and the trumpeter beside me. Then I said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, "This work, enormous and spread out, and all are separated far from one another along the wall. Wherever you hear the trumpet sound, rally us there. Our God is fighting for us." So he continued to work, while half the men were holding spears from daybreak till the stars came out. At that time also the people let everyone and servants spend the night inside Jerusalem, so they can stand guard by night and work by day. My brothers, my servants, the men in the guard with me took off our clothes. Each carried his weapon, even when he was washing. That is all of the reading for today. So it starts out, just looking at this picture, in chapter 1, talking about like all the news from Jerusalem. And so Nehemiah gave the prayer of like how he was just praying God, like how great he was. So maybe like let be attentive to his heart as he prays for him, because he was like confessing his sins, and he was asking like to remember like how they came crawling back to him, so like can forgive him. So then it talks about Nehemiah being sent to Jerusalem after like he asked the king multiple times, like, first, can you allow me to go off to rebuild Jerusalem, my city? And then the king said yes, and said, okay, so now can you give me letters, like safe passage? And the king said, yes, I'll send you letters to keep you safe as you pass. And then he said, can you send like a decree to like for lumber so that we can build back these walls? And he said yes, and so he went off preparing to build the walls. And so as he started rebuilding the walls, he starts making the fish gates, the old gate, the broad wall, and tower of the ovens, and then the valley gate, the dung gate, and the sprouting gate. And just kind of talking about building of it, so it's kind of boring. And then I'm pretty sure it talks the angle or angel. I'm searching up right now if it's angle or angel. I can't. Space usually measured in degrees between two intersecting lines or surfaces. Okay, so I was right. And it's ANGLE is angle, not angel. So I was saying it right. So it talks about the angle, the water gate, and the tower on the Ophel, then the horse gate, the inspection gate, and the sheep gate. Then talks about like the progress in spite of the opposition. Because to begin with, Nehemiah kind of told people, you have, or some of the surrounding people, you have no place here. You can't like be here in like this town. So he really built up the walls a lot. And so that kind of like raised them up in like anger kind of against them already. A little like uneasy, I guess. That's how I explained it. And so then like that when they saw how like quickly they're making the walls and all that, they had a plan to take them down. And so Nehemiah prayed to the Lord, and every worker and stuff had like their own sword strapped to them at all times, like even had a weapon while they were bathing. And kinds of ends off there. So that is all for today. So I hope you've had an amazing day so far. Have an amazing rest of the day. Remember, God loves you, and goodbye.